Hello and welcome to another episode of Inside Auto ID with me, Ged Cairns from Brother UK. Today I'm with James Ussher-Smith from TPP Retail, and we're going to talk about all things in-store retail. We're going to be talking about staff retention and staff recruitment, Gen Z and Gen Alpha expectations, and also the use of AI in retail in the future. James, welcome.
Thanks, Jed. Great to be here.
Good. Straight into it. Technology in in-store retail. How is that helping drive staff retention within an in-store retail operation?
Yeah, so I think it's a really great question, Jed, and I think technology is a really key part of attracting and retaining staff in retail. So if you imagine two scenarios of your first store, recruiting staff probably on a minimum wage level, they come to work every day, they get given old-fashioned tech that's hard to use, complicated, they're fighting the tech to do their job. And then imagine a neighbouring store, couple down the road, probably paying the same minimum wage, but the staff get better tech. They know how to use it. Naturally, it feels a bit like their consumer tech they've already got at home. They're comfortable. They are able to do their best job with that tech. You can see where you'd rather work, right?
Sure.
And then I think the second part is the kind of retail that's succeeding today is consultative retail. So think about health and beauty, sports, pets. So if you work in a retailer like that, you're motivated because you really love the subject matter. You want to do your best job for the customers. And if you've got great tech, it enables you to do that best job. So you can come home from work every day knowing that you've done the best for the customers. And I think that's a real driver in staff retention today.
There seems to be lots of applications used by associates in store. Is it possible to consolidate all those applications onto a single platform? Have you tried to, is that what's being requested of TPP?
Yeah, it's a really hard thing, and all retailers are trying to achieve something like that. So a good example of a customer we've worked with for a long time, when we first met them, a staff member would have 4 or 5 different bits of tech on them to do their job every day, almost like a tool belt. So they'd have a handheld to do certain operational tasks, another handheld to do other operational tasks, a tablet to do customer-facing tasks, maybe a walkie-talkie. There were never enough of them to go round, always borrowing off each other, staff always having to go to the back office to get the bit of tech they didn't have on them, really difficult environment. So that retailer took the brave decision to make a big investment in a one device platform. So a couple of years on, every staff member's got one device now. It does all the jobs. Every staff member can do everything at any time. They all feel empowered. There's no more back and forth, no more cobbling together the right kit at the right time. It's a hard thing to do, and perhaps at the beginning you have to go backwards to go forward. So initially you have to add something, and then you have to bit by bit move functions onto that new thing, and then eventually you start turning the old tech off, and it's a real win.
And is that as a consequence now of the latest technology being capable of doing multiple functions?
Yeah, I guess that's a big part of it. So if you look maybe 10 or 20 years ago, there were really specialized bits of kit that just did one thing. And now every retailer's basically got an Android device in their hand. It's as powerful as your phone. We all know how many different things can fit on that device. So yeah, I would agree.
James, go back to your first answer regarding two types of store A and store B being the tech-savvy leading light on the use of different technology. How are they using that on onboarding new staff and trying to attract the best that's out there for their business?
Yeah, great question. So there's a few parts of that. The first part is making their operational software easy. And it sounds really obvious, but you've got a really transient workforce today. Perhaps people work there not for very long in the summer holidays. They come and go. Maybe it's a part-time and they've got other jobs too. They have to be able to pick up the tech and just use it. And we all have got consumer tech on us all the time, and we are used to, you get an app on your phone and it just works. Yet a lot of enterprise tech still needs a training curve. So the retailers that are doing it right have worked hard to eliminate that training curve. So they open up their front of store operational app, and it's just obvious. It borrows cues from the consumer tech we all use all the time, so it just feels natural. So if you take that training away, it's a huge win.
In the last series of interviews I've had with other guests, we've talked about artificial intelligence and how that's helping business or maybe not helping their business. What's your take on artificial intelligence within in-store retail?
Yeah, it's great, and it kind of links to the last question actually. So how can we use AI in an enterprise sense? Everyone's had a go at ChatGPT, right? And it's really cool and really fun, but I don't think many people have found a commercial use yet. But take a retailer, they've got ring binders PDFs of operational procedures sitting in there, and we've all been in their back offices. There's a big shelf of 20 ring binders. So all the processes are in there somewhere. How do you cash up a till? How do you shut the shop? How do you do the alarm? Who do you call if there's a leak? All these hard things that the staff have to know. So if we go a step into AI, we can load all of that into a large language model AI, empower the store colleague on their front of store device to access that information. So as a store colleague, I can either type or speak a question. How do I report a leak? And then the AI will find the answer out of all those million-page PDFs, and it will say it to you. Really powerful.
So a bit like a modern day Siri, Alexa.
Yeah, a much better version of Siri and Alexa, or a much more relevant version of Siri and Alexa that knows your proprietary business information. And the way AI has progressed, you can store that in your own version, so you're not putting your information in the public domain. It's really safe, really secure. Tech is coming, or almost here, where you can even run that offline. So we're not talking to the cloud each time there's a query, could be a bit laggy, store Wi-Fi, all that kind of thing. And then go another stage. So we've got your operational procedures. What about your product knowledge? So you're an electronics retailer, lots of complicated knowledge about laptops and TVs and stuff. You load all that in. So now I can say, what's the best laptop for my university teenager? And then it will give me 5 laptops. And then I can say, of those 5, which one's got the best warranty? Because AI is contextually aware. And then you just get down to 1. And then if it's a retailer really on the tech journey, maybe they've got electronic shelf edge, the 1 can flash. So we get a color blinking on the 3 recommendations or the 1 recommendation from the AI. And suddenly your average colleague is as good as your best colleague.
So on your generic high street retail, what will the tech look like for the consumer usage? There's a good case example there, but what would it look like in 2030? And I'm thinking generic. There'll always be shining lights, there'll always be early adopters, but in terms of your generic high street, what do you think will be the tech of 2030?
It'll be easier to shop, basically. Everything the retailers are trying to do is about taking friction out. So when is it hard to shop? So it might be a simple, it's hard because there's a queue at the till, and we see retailers like Amazon playing around with frictionless tech. Other retailers are doing that in other ways. In M&S, you can pay on your phone, which still feels awkward, like you're stealing it, but you're not. So there's plenty of that. And then if you're in a bigger, like the example of an electronics retailer, you want advice, but I might not want to talk to somebody. I might not want to find a colleague. So how can I, as a consumer, access the knowledge that the business possesses by myself? That's the key, I think, making it easier to shop.
Again, really interesting point there, because I think as society grows up with a frictionless contact and a lack of social skills, asking somebody for help might become alien even the next 10, 15 years. So I think your answer is pertinent there, that generation that's coming through is not comfortable asking somebody for help.
It really is a generational thing, you're right. And I think the younger or the Gen Z, Gen Alpha don't want to ask for help but still expect perfection.
So just summing that up as a final question, what do you think shopper behaviour will be like in years to come? We've kind of touched on it, but what's your summary of it?
Yeah, I just think it's massive expectations. So it's those younger generations that are coming up through and are used to brilliant tech, and they want everything to be as brilliant as what they have got access to themselves. So they've got apps on their phone that are multi-billion, best software in the world. So why isn't the retail app as good as that? And of course we know it can't be, because the retailers haven't got the money that Instagram have to make a brilliant tech, but that's the expectation. So how can they get close? It's really difficult.
James, thank you. That's again really insightful. All my guests have been really insightful. Hence the purpose of these kind of conversations, of talking inside with people who know the industry. So I think the future of retail is going to be interesting. I think it's going to be revolutionary, and but it's right. It's matching the customer. Like you say, Gen Alpha, Gen Z coming through, have high expectations, and you're helping deliver that to the retailers. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jed.
Until next time.